I have love for all of my chosen brothers and sisters because, truth be told, there's only two species on this planet, and it's the ascending souls and it's the descending souls. And those two species are nothing alike. And when those two species interact, terrible but necessary and evolutionary things happen. But I bring that up to say that my chosen brothers are and sisters are the only ones that we understand each other. So it's for this reason that I want to bring this up that if I am to criticize a chosen one content creator and to put on display how they're approaching their journey through this lifetime and the message that they're spreading, it's as a form of analysis and is never meant to undercut or disrespect or degrade them as people. But I think there is a lot to learn about what being a chosen one is all about by looking at the various ways that we progress through our chosen one journey and the various lens in which we interpret our symptoms. Because the one thing we all share in common as chosen ones is our symptoms. We all have the same things happen to us. But every individual chosen one has a different framework and lens through which you view the divine in relation to what the divine is allowing to happen to you. Everybody has their own narrative, everybody has their own story, everybody has their own contemplations. So I bring that all up to say that today I'm going to be making some critique and analysis regarding a certain brand of chosen one's content creation centered around the content creator Pete Sapper, previously known as the Chosen 144, who is basically kind of part of the same clan of Chosen One's content creation and interpretation as RJ Spina. Yeah, I'm going to be critiquing them today, and I love Pete. He's a really passionate guy, and I can relate to him in a lot of ways. But we're going to learn today that there is no ascended masters amongst the chosen ones. I certainly would never want anyone on this channel to have the impression that I represent myself as an ascended master. I am just another person on this journey. I have a channel to divinity, and divinity gives me downloads as to the truth of many things, but that does not do anything to overwrite my personal shortcomings as it comes to the divine. We are all born on earth, which is not testament to our status as being an earth angel and how we're an ascended master come down here to educate the masses. In truth, being born on earth at all is pretty much a testament to your soul's weakness. We are all works in progress. And we're going to learn today that Pete Sapper, although professing the virtues of the I am, the Ayeh, Asher Ayeh, as he learned from R.J. Spina, and certain principles like detachment, which is very central to what R.J. Spina teaches. Pete Sapper, certainly a chosen one, certainly a chosen brother, is deeply within a worldly nature. So one of the things I'm going to be talking about today is the thaumaturgic magical mindset versus the theurgic magical mindset. But before we get into all of that, I thought it would be cool to start with scripture. I think this particular scripture is really the best explanation of what it really truly means to be a chosen one. A lot of different people have kind of run off with this term and interpreted it to mean different things, as is their right. Chosen 144. As it comes to what it means to be a chosen one, My personal preference is to go off of the book of John, chapter 15. So let's read. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Already we're really saturated with Saturnine imagery. If you remember my last video, The Labyrinth of Shadows, that had a lot to do with Saturn. We went through William Lilly's correspondences of Saturn, and one of the careers associated with Saturn is being a husbandman. And Saturn is that which prunes away all of the undesirables. Saturn has to do with things dying and rotting and putrefying. But it very often only kills what is in the way of our evolution when it's in conjunction with Pluto, which is the description of an ascending soul, a chosen one. So every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Yes, so there is death and there is decay, but to a greater cause. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can ye, except ye abide in me. I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me ye can do nothing. Absolutely, I am the vine, ye are the branches. This really is part of the multifarious sort of lenses in which God and the Godhead is interpreted throughout the Bible. To me, this really speaks of almost more of like a pantheistic interpretation of God, which is my impression of divinity, to be sure, as well as the impression of Kabbalah and Taoism and everything like that. I am the vine, ye are the branches. Yes, so God operates through us. We are the branches. We are the we are part of this greater system of which we are a part with God. This life force, this source that courses through us. It all is part of the same tree. For without me, ye can do nothing. Indeed, the source, the Godhead, is the generative origin of all that is, and it is the source of all power. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. That's a really interesting sentence. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. Yes, so the branch is removed from the tree and is burned. So we can see there, this is a separation from divinity. The branch is broken off from the tree, and its blessings are burned away. This is what happens when you are separated from God, which is the path of the descending soul. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit. So shall ye be my disciples. As the Father hath loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love. If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments, and abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that ye love one another, as I have loved you. Indeed, indeed, universal love. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth. But I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father I have made known unto you. Ye have chosen not me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you that ye should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it to you. These things I command you, that ye love one another. If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. This line right here, this single verse, John chapter 15, verse 19, is the single most important verse with regard to what a chosen one is. I'm going to read it one more time, and I might even read it one more time after that because it's so damn important. If you want to understand what a chosen one is, I'll read it one more time. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Hateth you, indeed it does. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. Ooh, the servant is not greater than his Lord. Isn't that so interesting? We're not worshiping some external God as being something that's so much greater than us. It is the recognition that we are all part of the same tree. We are merely the branches of the tree. And the Son is divine. And the Father is the trunk. Yes? And all together we are the same tree of life. The servant is not greater than his Lord because we are all operating as one. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. I think we can kill it there. That's a really important point there. I have chosen you out of the world. And this is what I would like to lead this video with, is this video has to do with Venus. And we're going to see a lot of venereal Venus energy coming from the very passionate chosen brother, Pete Sapper. But Venus is a friend of the Earth. I've talked about the Earth a lot in my previous videos, and it is the origin point, the point of contact with the demons, is the source of fragmentation. The angels in the Renaissance metaphysical scheme were made up of ether that is beyond the sphere of the moon, but demons were said to have their bodies made up of the air of the earth. And I say Venus and the Earth are particularly friends because they co-rule a sign together, actually, a zodiacal sign. Venus rules Taurus, but also the Earth rules Taurus, is part of the sequence of ruling planets. After Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, comes Pisces, is ruled by Jupiter. After Pisces comes Aries, which is ruled by Mars. And then what planet comes after Mars? You'd be right. It's planet Earth. The Earth and Venus both rule Taurus. So, if you want to talk about a planet that is one of the closest friends to the Earth, it is actually Venus. And so that is to say that Venus is an exceedingly worldly planet, which is important because, as I have read to you today, if you were of the world would love his own. But I have chosen you out of the world. Therefore, the world hateth you. I have chosen you out of the world. I keep nailing this home because the interpretation of people like Pete Sapper, Chosen One creators like Pete Sapper, and even R.J. Spina, I disavow the notion of anyone being an ascended master. R.J. Spina refers to himself as Master R. With peace and love, I view that as a form of spiritual ego. He has discovered the power of the I Am, and he's used this to heal his body from paralysis. And it's my impression that his this feat, which by the way has been replicated by other people who have learned of this power, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, who healed himself of another form of paralysis as well, spine damage. They take it too far, particularly R.J. Spina takes it too far, and he believes that he's from the same... he believes that he's from the same oversoul as these various figures throughout history, like Plato and everything like that. He refers to himself as master. No. You're on Earth and you're just another guy. But you are a chosen one. You are an ascending soul. So these understandings are made privy to you. But no chosen one is a perfect channel, a channeler of divinity. We have downloads from divinity, but we can only pass those downloads of divinity through our pre-existing systems of thought. And certainly these downloads of divinity do not purge our lower nature as well. And the lower nature of Pete Sapper is on full display in the visual portion of this video. These text conversations is not the behavior of somebody who has foregone attachment and transcended and achieved universal love. This is very venereal, very personal love. But I bring all these things up to say is that this brand, this clan of Chosen One content creators, although R.J. Spina would disavow the term Chosen Ones, it's kind of all the same family, you know what I mean? They are essentially what in magic is referred to thaumaturgists or sorcerers. And I'm not referring to being like an occultist or a devil worshiper or anything like that, but there is a very important duality. Well, I wouldn't say dichotomy, but a duality within the within magic as to, are you a thaumaturgic practitioner or are you a theurgic practitioner? Some other ways of describing that are you into low magic or are you into high magic? Well, what do these terms mean? What does low magic, high magic mean? What's theurgy, thaumaturgy? Well, a good way to think about it actually goes back to our favorite source, the Tree of Life in Kabbalah. The ambition of somebody who practices thaumaturgy or low magic is to tap into powers that are higher than ourselves down here on Earth. Ideally back to the source, back to the one. So drawing from the power of God in Keter, the I Am, the Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh. That would be the most potent nexus of power. We're taking that and we're bringing it downward into material form. So the goal of the thaumaturgic practitioner ideally is to bring down the power from Keter. Remember where I said in that scripture, was part of it, was it? I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me ye can do nothing. We are referring to the higher spheres of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. We are referring to Chokhmah and Keter. We are drawing from source, and from source, from the base of that tree, come the fruits, the very individual fruits of that tree, and that's represented in Malkuth. That's represented in the earth, coming into physical manifestation, the things that we want. It's all about manifestation. It's all about there are things that I want to experience on this earth, and I am drawing from this divine power to make it so. And really, this is the entire genre of what these Chosen One channels profess to be interested in sharing. Is these are all basically manifestation style channels. They are focused on aligning with the higher powers of spirit that are beyond worldliness, and drawing forth those powers so that we can have worldly experiences that we find enjoyable. Particularly, Pete Sapper focuses on things like money manifestation, and finding your, you know what I mean, soul partner and your lover and everything like that. We are talking about enjoyable worldly things. So really, in a sense, we are drawing from the I Am. This is how he was taught. We're drawing from essentially Neptune, from Keter. We're drawing that down to the solar. And the solar, we're trying to appeal to the I Am to bring forth our solar samskars, to bring pleasant things. Then we're directing those solar samskars, the pleasantness, we're shining that light of the sun onto the individual areas in which we would like to see abundance. So he focuses on money magic, so he's particularly shining that light of the sun onto Jupiter. He's focusing on romantic partnerships. He and RJ Spina both view romantic partnerships as being particularly important as part of the experience of being a chosen one, although RJ Spina wouldn't use the term chosen one. And so they're shining that light onto Venus. But really importantly, it's this idea of we're appealing to these things that are high up. We're going to the divine, and we're drawing from the power of the divine to bring that down into worldly manifestation. We are drawing spirit into material form, and that's the definition of low magic. This is magic as most people approach it. They're using magic to get things that they can enjoy in the world: money, maybe power, maybe respect, fame, romantic partnerships, sex. Really, this is magic as revenge. You know what I mean? Curses. This is magic employed towards the end of, I want a particular outcome in the world. Now, the opposite of this approach is something called theurgy, or high magic. This is the exact opposite. We are employing magical ends towards the outcome of overcoming our worldliness to rejoin with the divine. So in essence, we are letting go of these worldly things. We are letting go of the earth. We're letting go of the branches to come back to the source, the roots of the tree, right? Although you just have to imagine that the Kabbalistic tree of life is upside down, right? The source is where it's from the roots. So the roots is like the top of it, and then the bottom of it, which is Malkuth, is actually the branches and the individual 10,000 fruits, right? But yeah, theurgy and high magic is all about overcoming worldliness. Now, to me, the problem with Pete Sapper and RJ Spina's lens at which they through which they interpret these phenomenon, this evolutionary pressure that we call being a chosen one, of which we all have the same symptoms. It really comes back to my definition of what chosen one is. If you were of the world would love his own. But I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Well, really, by definition, then, if we are putting an energetic focus into the outcomes that are present on the world, we are choosing the world. Indeed, we are. We are choosing the world. There is something on its face kind of patently absurd about trying to manifest your romantic partner, your ideal romantic partner, with the notion that you can somehow have this experience while being completely detached. It is the nature of worldly things that it wraps you up in attachment, and it's basically a beyond superhuman feat to be able to exist in those practices of being wrapped up in worldly things and not being attached to them. I truly believe that you cannot have a romantic partner and not be attached to that romantic partner. There's a lot of fundamental problems with that. You know, if something bad was to happen to them, you would spring into action to protect them out of a sense of personal attachment. You would not come to the aid of another person with equal fervor. If another person was in danger, you would not come to them with equal fervor in protecting them as you would protect your romantic partner, which, of course, on its face implies a degree of attachment. Personal love follows romantic relationships, and personal attachments generally follow most things that you would so-called manifest. So I think it's just a fundamental mistake to have any focus on manifestation, because manifestation is low magic. It is sorcery. It is thaumaturgy. It's called low magic because it's bringing you down low to the earth. You're choosing the world, which is creating the tension that the world is hating you because you have been chosen out of the world. You have been chosen out of the world, but you are choosing the world. That's going to create an immense amount of friction, and that is what we can see on the screen here in this video. Yeah, so really my focus in this channel is not to kind of exploit the I am as these creators have been doing. Ascended perfect master R.J. Spina, who is not human like the rest of us, and he's some supreme angelic being that we should call master. And by the way, I'm talking a little bit of shit, but you know, these are all men that are good channels of divinity, and they all have something important to say. So every chosen one content creator has something important to say, and you know, and we're all brothers and sisters. But this is all about critique and objective criticism. They exploit, in my opinion, the Ayeh Asher Ayeh. They have discovered the importance of the I am, but they use it to its opposite end. Really, the I am is where divinity lies, where God is. It's the Ein Sof. God is found in the Ein Sof. The Ayeh Asher Ayeh, the I am that I am, is where God is found, and yet these individuals go to Catcher, they go to the I am, and then they just take what's found there and they keep bringing it back down to the world. That's a fundamental distinction in between me and these guys, which really talk about a lot of the same stuff. And I think these guys, R.J. Spina and Pete Sapper, as far as what they profess, is pretty much one of the closest as it comes to my own beliefs that have been expressed in the Chosen One content creator channels. But the fundamental distinction is I'm a theurgist. I believe in we are to stop putting our energy into worldly things. We should embrace worldly poverty. Like Rev Zusha in my video on this channel, does God want you to be happy? And to embrace the Saturnian current, because the Saturnian current is an initiator into acting as the boundary that stops us from coming back down to the world. So for most people, Saturn is the lord of the labyrinth, the lord of the boundary, the lord of the wall, and the obstacle to divinity. It is the wall that keeps Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, these initiators into God, away from the people of the world, so that they can have the worldly experience as descending souls. But when you pass through Saturn's initiation, it actually has the opposite effect. It's the bounds that keeps you with God. It keeps you in the supernal triad rather than under it. And to me, that's really the goal. You want to go through Saturn's initiation. You want to embrace the poverty with which you were born, so that you can bring your sense of contentment and enrichment in-house. In other words, in my opinion, people like R.J. Spina and Pete Sapper are effectively exploiting the powers of the I am to actually increase their own attachment, although they profess and preach detachment, by outsourcing their happiness to worldly things. If you had the ability to create your own happiness, and peace, why would you even bother manifesting anything? That would be unnecessary because you would already have that happiness and peace. Instead, they practice manifestation as a way of creating certain outcomes that they can kind of use as a crutch outside of themselves to basically, in a way, foster attachment. It has to be attachment. If you are deriving your happiness and peace from things that are manifested and outside of yourself, then you are pretty much by definition subtracting from your own inner ability to create that peace and happiness in-house inside of yourself, like Rev Zusha, who existed in a dilapidated hovel and still beaming with absolute peace and contentment. He said nothing bad ever happened to him. So, yeah, in that sense, although we talk about a lot of the same mechanisms, in a sense, I'm kind of directly opposed to what they're teaching. And I think in this on the screen cap of this video, we can see that most blatantly. If you're having a hard time making sense of what's going on the screen, effectively, Pete Sapir, originally under the subtext of including another chosen one in a non-romantic context to preach the virtues of R.J. Spina's teachings, basically. It turned out that they were actually entangled in a pretty spicy, it seems, romantic relationship. Which, I don't believe romantic relationships are a good thing for a chosen one. I believe chosen ones are given over to Saturn. And we're going to read some prayers of the planets later on, but we're going to see how, even in traditional sources, Saturn has a lot to do with being a monk, monastic life, isolation, and taking up your plow and digging up the earth, whereas Venus is all about partying, celebration, having close personal relationships, and love, and really becoming entangled with the things of the world. Saturn's all about severance from the things of the world, really. And we're going to get into that. But Pete Sapir took that approach. I guess the next thing I would like to talk about, because we can see that Pete Sapir really, although professing the power of the I Am, is actually kind of becoming really intermingled with the energy of the Earth as well as Venus. And there is something in astrology that was discovered by modern astrologers, and I think it's one of the more profound points discovered by modern astrologers who have a tendency to kind of run away with the truth a little bit. It's the idea of higher octaves of the planets, which is actually one of the truest things that ever came out of a modern astrologer's mouth. It's the idea that these inner planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, they all have counterparts in the outer planets that's a representation of their higher nature as a form of transfiguration or sublimation. And in a way, in the same way that Christ's death and resurrection represented a transfigurement of a man to the divine, the death of these individual planets in our own energetic being and in our own consciousness must occur such that they can be resurrected and ascended to their more divine state. So Mercury, which questions everything about the world and tries to create systems of thought that can empirically and scientifically explain things using linear logic and evidence, it must die and be resurrected in the form of Uranus, which is the planet that is of utmost uncertainty, that leads every system of so-called thought, every belief system, to its failure by pointing out the problem in it. It points out the problem in every attempt to come to a definitive conclusion. And in that way, it's transfigured by leaving us in a state of indefiniteness that leaves us vulnerable to divine inspiration rather than clinging to these houses of cards, these fragile houses of cards that are belief systems about the world. But so we get that with Venus, we get that with Mars. Mars' higher octave is Pluto. Mars must die to take on the virtuous nature of Pluto. That can be another video. The Sun, in my opinion, is one that no one else has talked about. The Sun, in my opinion, must die in order to become non-dual light, the non-dual light of the Ein Sof. So the Sun itself must die, and that, to me, represents the final death of the ego and the death of all seeking pleasant things to embrace the unity of everything beyond all cycles of positive and negative, beyond all cycles of enjoyable and unenjoyable, the end of seeking. But this video is about the death of Venus, and I think this is something that chosen ones probably need to hear the most. Venus would die and be transfigured and be sublimated to its higher form of Neptune, which is the higher octave of Venus. Venus is all about personal love, one-on-one relationships. It is kind of the glue that holds a tribe together. Like, whereas Mars is related to divorce, Mars would be within a tribal setting, the infighting that would cause all the individual members of that group to say harsh words and to close up things that otherwise could be opened to bring unity back. Mars is closing that up, burning those bridges, right? Mars is a planet of intense, what they would say, intemperate hot and dryness, was another way of saying like way too hot and fiery. So Mars is a planet of burning bridges. But Venus is the opposite planet of Mars. Venus rules all the signs that are opposite the signs that Mars rules. And Venus is said to be of a cold and moist nature. In other words, is watery. So it has a tendency to kind of like congeal things together into clusters of people. So yeah, this is the force that brings together friends. This is the force that brings together sexual partners. It's the force that brings together lovers. It's all about let's get together and feel all right. Let's have a party. Venus really is a big proponent of the group. The more, the merrier. And most importantly, it represents a form of highly personal, one-on-one love, or the kind of tribalistic love that brings together a group. Let me try to find my bookmark here. Yeah, a good thing I'd like to talk about right now. I'm going to go off of, once again, one of our favorite sources with regard to traditional astrology, which is William Lilly's Christian astrology regarding Venus. Of Venus, her signification, nature, and property. Okay, she is feminine. She is a feminine planet. Temperately cold and moist, which is the opposite of Mars's intemperate hot and dryness. So it's fire, immoderate fire versus moderate water. Venus is said to be nocturnal. The lesser fortune, which today we call a benefic, it's the lesser benefic. Author of mirth and jollity, makes you jolly. The elements, the air and water are venereal, Venusian, says William Lilly. In the humors, phlegm with blood, with spirit and genital seed. Manners and actions, when well dignified. When well dignified means when Venus is in Pisces, Libra, or Taurus. She signifies a quiet man, not given to law, quarrel, or wrangling. There's no fighting. Not vicious, so kind of subdued and meek. Pleasant, neat, and spruce. Loving mirth in his words and actions. Cleanly in apparel, right? So this is Venus is representing superficial beauty and pleasantness. Rather drinking much than gluttonous. Right, so this is you get, these people tend to get a little drunk, but not like sloppy drunk. Prone to venery, so they love sexual intercourse. oft entangled in love matters, zealous in their affections, musical, delighting in baths and all honest merry meetings, or masks and stage plays. Yeah, I find the idea of masks there interesting because, yeah, I mean, Venus really has a lot to do with the superficialities that allow us to be cohesive as a group. So it has a lot to do with what mask do we wear in a group. We are not necessarily being our full authentic self, because if we're being perfectly honest, our full authentic self can be extremely disruptive and it can cause a lot of conflict and tension in a group setting if everybody was fully 100% authentic about what they think and feel. To some extent, to be part of society, civilized society, we require these masks so that we can maintain social cohesion. That's what Venus is all about, social cohesion. Easy of belief and not given to labor. So we can see this in many ways. Venus is opposite Saturn in its significations. Doesn't want to take any pains. So it's decadent, it's hedonistic. It loves worldly pleasure. A company keeper, so it loves groups. Cheerful, nothing mistrustful. A right virtuous man or woman. Oft had in some jealousy, yet no cause for it. So yeah, Venus can actually make you kind of jealous. Now, when ill dignified, it means, and funny enough, I make this video when Venus is in Aries, which is its sign of detriment. Venus is also in its detriment in the sign of Scorpio, ruled by Mars. And also, Venus is in a bad place in Virgo, arguably the worst place in Virgo. And that could be its own video, because that's actually the ultimate sign ruled by Mercury. So when Venus is in these signs, so when Venus is in Scorpio or Aries, it's said to be in its detriment. And when Venus is in Virgo, she's said to be in her sign of fall. Then he is riotous, expensive, wholly given to looseness and lewd companies of women. Yeah, so Venus, when ill dignified, says William Lilly, makes you a slut. Nothing regarding his reputation. Shameless. Coveting unlawful beds, incestuous, an adulterer, fanatical, a mere skipjack of no faith, no repute, and no credit. Yeah, so we can see there somebody that is an ill-dignified Venus. It's almost the opposite of spirituality. It's a very worldly, low vibrational sort of approach of no faith and coveting unlawful beds, being incestuous and an adulterer, being shameless, of no faith, no repute, and no credit. Spending his means in alehouses, taverns, and amongst scandalous loose people. So yeah, really, this is a picture of an exceedingly hedonistic, shameless, worldly burnout, basically. A mean, lazy companion, nothing careful of the things of this life or anything religious. A mere atheist and natural man. So this is Venus's deep resonance with the earth and worldliness. It tends towards material things. It believes in the things that can be touched and enjoyed with the senses, but all things regarding the spirit, it's averse to when ill-dignified. So yeah, that is a picture of Venus. It really is, even on its best day, it's a form of personal love that allows us to have social cohesion. In point of fact, if we all had the kind of universal love signified by Neptune, is not the kind of love that would allow us to have a functional society, because universal love leads to an approach to love that's so non-human, that's so like transcendent and divine, that it can see the bigger picture of knowing when to allow struggle and hardship to befall people. In other words, if I'm approaching from a place of universal love, that is, I'm in touch with the love of God, the love closest to God, I can look at a person, I can see the daemon or spirit behind their being, their higher self. I can see what their higher self wants them to go through. I can see how that situation can actually be pretty dire and challenging and unpleasant. And the venereal person, which is kind of like the knight in shining armor, the passionate romantic lover who comes to the day to save the rest to rescue this person from hardship, they would actually wrest away the individual from the evolutionary difficulty that's been given down to them from their higher self. But the Neptunian individual, who's in tune with the universal love and the evolutionary impetus of God, can look at that person and, with abiding peace and love, allow them to go through something that causes suffering, loss, and challenge. In fact, very often extreme heartache, because they are in tune with the higher evolutionary plan of what that's for. And so I'm loving you in a way that leads to your greater evolution back to God. I'm not loving you in a way that's necessarily rescuing you from the hardships and unpleasantness of the moment. This can even mean if somebody's homeless, letting them remain homeless. If you are in touch with God's plan, because yet them being homeless is meant to be there as part of their evolution. So yeah, that's one of many examples of how operating from a place of universal love is not compatible with the worldly way in which we operate as a society. Venus is actually incredibly essential for how society operates. The delicate balance between all these lower planets actually is very essential as like a clockwork mechanism of how things can operate in the world, which is why Neptune isn't allowed access to us except through Saturn, and Saturn rules the monk. These sort of approaches of dissolving everything into a state of impersonal, universal love of God, it would cause complete havoc and pandemonium. And in fact, that is a characteristic quality of the outer planets, is they're deeply destabilizing. They're deeply destabilizing and chaotic and beyond all structure and order. Not to forget that Saturn is what creates order and structure. The delicate balance between the Sun and Saturn is what most directly allows the logos spermatikos of God to organize the world in a way that it can be organized. When we get to Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they're deeply chaotic and destabilizing. In fact, if we were to expose those planets to a descending soul, they would most likely go completely batshit insane because they're not ready for it. But when those energies are approached through the inertia of Saturn, through the initiation of Saturn, through monkhood and monastic life, which by its very nature causes you to renounce, very often renounce not just worldly things, but also society itself, to go off on a mountain somewhere, to go off in a cave, to go into isolation, to find the God within. That is where the outer planets actually become productive. When the outer planets have their way with the things of the world, very often it causes catastrophe. Uranus is associated with all kinds of natural disasters and complete chaos. With regard to pretty much whatever it touches, it brings just complete expect the unexpected uncertainty. But it's critical for the chosen one to understand that a very important part of being a chosen one is allowing these lower planets to die and be transfigured. And this is to be accomplished through the grounding influence of Saturn. And I think this may be something that R.J. Spina gets right, is he says that if we were to give you all of the breakthroughs and downloads without like the demonic attack and narcissists and everything like that, the darkness that Saturn brings, and I'm adding that part in that Saturn brings because I've attributed in all my previous videos all these dark happenings that happens to the chosen ones is basically coming from Saturn, the shadow within us, then it wouldn't work and there would be like a reversion to the mean. Yeah, I believe this is true. I believe that in order to experience these breakthroughs of the divine that the outer planets give us, it needs to be through the vehicle of Saturn. So in order for the death of these planets to be productive and their transfigurement as the transfigurement of Mercury, Venus, and Mars to Uranus, Venus, and Pluto, or Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, it has to be through embracing the Saturnian current, which chosen ones have been chosen to pass through. Right, the chosen one's life is not all light and pleasant things. It's mired with darkness and confrontation of the shadow, confrontation of demons everywhere you go, confrontations of your own darkness that's been stored away in the memory of your soul and deep mind. So, particularly, one of the big lessons that chosen ones learn is the lesson of the death of Venus. Many chosen one creators are deeply hurt and upset by the fact that they can't have one-on-one relationships, can't have friends, can't have romantic partners. Why did I attract another narcissist? Which is not to say that the woman that Pete Sapper was dating that's on this screen here is a narcissist. I have no idea. I would feel silly even really investigating that. But yeah, I mean, it is generally a truth that any attempt to pursue a romantic relationship as a chosen one leads to this karmic nuclear fallout, heartbreak as a result of it. They're confronting, both partners confront their shadow through each other. And it's just, it never works, and Saturn does what Saturn does and severs and kills the whole damn thing. And so, in order to achieve universal love, I have found that it's actually necessary for a personal love to turn to a kind of personal hate. And really, this is very common, personal love. You know, what's funny is one of the biggest symbols of the planet Venus is the rose. In fact, in the talismans that the people of the Middle Age and Renaissance would make, very often it would be a picture of an image of Aphrodite holding a rose and a comb and other Venusian symbols. But the rose is very potently venereal. And how funny is it, right? We, when we want to profess our love to somebody, we give them a rose as a symbol of our love. We give them, as a symbol of what our love means and represents, we give them a plant that withers away and dies in a manner of like a week. You know, it's kind of funny. It's like, this is what the love means. It's meant to be beautiful for a short time, and then it dies and rots away. That's really what Venus is. Venus is the lower nature of love. It is mired with the absurdity that I talk about in my Killing Joke video. Everything that is worldly is absurd, and Venus is a great friend of the world. So the personal love that we often nurture is by its very nature absurd and feeble and fragile, is meant to die. It's meant to die. Even if you find the lover that takes you through a whole lifetime, you will die, you will be reincarnated, and that person's not coming back. Because the truth of the matter is, all the people that come into our lives are not here for our mere hedonism and pleasure, like some kind of drug high. They're here to propitiate and force evolutionary lessons. So as a result, when you're reincarnated, the person that you swore you would never leave, they are being removed, exit scene one, or exit stage left, to bring in another person, completely different person that represents a different set of themes and archetypal energies, so that you can evolve. So Venus, in one sense, is absolutely essential and critical to the functioning of society and the world. But in another sense, it's further proof that the world is itself absurd, because Venus is this silly little high. It's hedonistic nature. It's fragile. It's a rose. It wilts away and it dies, and it leaves behind what we have on the screen here. You know, and of course, chosen ones. The thing about chosen ones is we have the energy of Pluto in our energy body, which descending souls don't, and so Pluto brings things to the surface much faster. So the nature of venereal worldly things are revealed much faster in chosen ones, and that's why it doesn't take very long at all for a chosen one to be in a romantic relationship, to see what a romantic relationship really is all about, which is these catastrophic outcomes. Their romantic relationships are by their nature are meant to die. For descending souls, it may take a little bit longer for that realization to come. They may have a romantic partner for their entire life. But for chosen ones, ascending souls that have been chosen out of the world, we get what happened to Pete Sapper here. You know, thought he found another chosen one. As he does, tries to bring the divinity of on high into worldly things, to bring it down to worldly things. And so he lost his universal love. It became a highly personal, attached love. And as you can see on screen here, that is the outcome of that. One thing that happens to chosen ones is the shadow, the Saturn, the demon, comes out of everybody that we interact with. There is kind of like a necessary repellent amongst actual chosen ones that we don't really come together. Because if we were to come together, Venus's energy would pretty much fully blossom. Why would we as chosen ones ever talk to anybody else but other chosen ones? Since our energy is so positive and pleasant, we would just have a great freaking time together, which by its nature would cause us to kind of stay in an evolutionary, a non-evolutionary state. Venus is a friend of the Earth. Earth is what keeps things the same, whereas Pluto, the opposite of the Earth, is what propagates evolution. If we chosen ones didn't have the repellent energy to each other, this polarity, same polarity opposition. Like if you have a magnet and a plus, and you put the pluses together, they push each other away. If we didn't have that, we would just get together and it wouldn't be very evolutionary at all, because we would just avoid all the shitties and the descending souls. And there would be no challenge to us. We would just all have fun together, as Venus would like us to do. But instead, we only attract total dog shit. We attract descending souls. And this teaches us to just stop going after that. We have no other option but then to go within. It's not the closest thing that a person has to the experience of the divine is generally what they experience as part of a really deep romantic relationship or a really deep personal friendship. That level of connection is kind of like a proxy substitute to what it is to experience the divine, rather than taking the hard, long journey, taking up your cross, taking up your plow a la Saturn to take on the hard work of becoming a monk, to go within to the very core of your being, to find Neptune, to find that universal love. It's much easier to look outside of yourself, to have things that you can touch, to have this other person and try to experience something divine that way. But Venus itself is mired with the absurdity, which Uranus reveals, the killing joke. And its fragility is revealed time and time again, the fragility of the rose. So, this is what happens to Pete Sapper. We instead want to, instead of trying to bring the divine, try to bring Neptune down to Venus, like Pete Sapper does, trying to bring Keter down to, let me remember my Kabbalistic spheres here. Hod would be Mercury. Give me a moment here. Sephiroth tree. I know like every other sphere, but this one sphere's name. Netzach, yes. Instead of bringing Neptune down to Netzach, we want to let Netzach die so that we can bring it up to Keter. And so we found that in all the people that we run into, the demon comes out. Saturn steps in, brings out the shadow with the cooperation of Pluto, digging up the buried things. So we're seeking these venereal things. We're seeking our special person outside of ourselves. I'm here to tell you, I'm the one channel that's going to tell you this. As a chosen one, it's never going to happen. Every person you run into, you're going to bring out their shadow, because you're only here to confront your shadow. And you carry with you an energy that digs up the contents of the shadow. And when that energy, that Pluto, that Uranus energy in your energy field is brought into the energy field of another person, a descending soul, their shadow is going to be brought up as well. But they're not built for that shit. They're not built for confronting their shadow. They're children. They have the child's cowardice. So they run away from the things that are under their bed. And very often they project the shadow, conjure the shadow onto you and attack you. That's what's been happening your entire life. So we're trying to let Venus die. We're trying to let go of this worldly hedonism. We're trying to let go of the idea of personal love. So all these demons keep coming out and body jumping in a way that's like equally, evenly distributed. We as chosen ones don't have that one person. We don't have that one person who's our big enemy. Everybody is our fucking enemy because the demon comes out of everybody. Why would God let that happen? Not to forget that in the Bible, the Satan had to go to God to ask for permission, which means that Saturn is the hand of God that keeps a stranglehold on the demons. And if demons are coming through to attack us, that's God loosening the grip of Saturn, because no demons can do anything at all unless God says that they can. So God needs to give permission. Why is God letting go of the grip on the demons such that they can body jump only into every individual person? There's no one person that's our big enemy. God lets the grip of the demons go such that they can manifest through everybody that we come in contact with. And God is doing this to help spur on the death of Venus. Because once you have a universal distaste for everybody and a universal hate for everybody, now you can begin to practice universal love. Now you see, Pete Sapper is exactly an example of what I'm talking about. He talks about the kind of universal love of God on his channel, but he's basically just giving lip service because he recognizes the value of this universal love. But when you try to apply this universal love towards the end of having your special, empath uprising special person, this is what you get on screen. You're mired in low attachment again. You're trying to find your special person. You put all of your eggs in that basket. You had this deep personal connection with this person. And what did God do? God, through Saturn, loosened the grip and let the demons come out of this person that you're in a romantic relationship with. And now you're all heartbroken all over again. I think it's basically essential that we have that experience of demons coming out of everybody that we try to have a personal relationship with, because that causes us to turn inward, to follow the path of Saturn, to follow the path of the monk, so we can go deeper inward to the core of our being where God is found. God is found below all of the darkness of the shadow. If you were to dig through the muck, I think that's a Carl Jung quote as well. I love this quote. It's like, in the muck it will be found. Referring to the Philosopher's Stone. In filth it shall be found. In sterquilinus invenitur is an alchemical and psychological concept used by Carl Jung to suggest that valuable insights, the seeds of perfection, and even the Philosopher's Stone are often found in the unexpected or unpleasant aspects of ourselves or the world. Those parts we might typically ignore or fear. Yet in the mud, in the filth, is where the Philosopher's Stone is found, which is below our shadow, right? The shadow is Saturn. So once we're able to navigate to the very core of our being, past our shadow, via full integration of the shadow, through the vehicle of universal love and forgiveness, which is the Ho'oponopono, is the Neptunian practice, then we were able to get to the core of our being. So Venus has to die. Venus has to die so that we can turn inward. We've been given over to Saturn, become a monk, go inward past our shadow, and in this way we find the universal love that unites all as one. With this universal love, you don't have my special little earth angel chosen one, Elizabeth, or whoever I can't even remember the girl's name in this video. I'm just doing a voice recording that Pete Sapper was entangled with. It's, I am here as an avatar of God's will to allow people to progress in the evolutionary direction that's been chosen for them. And through a kind of detached but supremely forgiving and merciful love, there is no clustering. There is no coming together as a group or a tribe. There's no other person. It's all one. Because the universal love is what dissolves all as one. That's what Ho'oponopono teaches us to be able to accomplish. But in order to achieve this, personal love needs to be completely out of the picture, because the thing is, Venus and Neptune are so similar, right? They both have a strong place in the sign of Pisces. Venus is exalted in Pisces. Neptune has a domicile in Pisces. They're both the forms of love. They can be easily mistaken for each other at the level of subjective experience. So when you are vulnerable to this lower nature of personal love, of tribal, romantic, group, a one-on-one friendship sort of love, my special person, the universal love immediately evaporates. It's gone. It's gone. All it takes is just having one special person, and that universal love is gone. Because by definition, it needs to be universal. So in order to achieve that sublime divine state, God as loving every one of its creation equally, it needs to pass through this alchemical process of putrefaction and distillation of this dying, this filth. All of the Venus, all of the personal relationships in your life are mired with filth and ugliness and demonic nature. If we allow Venus to die through this process, this dark night of the soul, this Negrero, we can eventually end up at the Rubedo, at the Philosopher's Stone. That's at the core of our being, by not looking outward for a special person, but by finding this ocean of ubiquitous, creative, harmonious love that is God, the Eye Asher Eye, the Keter. Let me see if there's anything else I'd like to add to that, because this is already a hell of a video as it is. I guess I would just add this, because I can't think of anything else right now. We are all flawed. We all have our problems. Pete Sapper, despite professing a lot of ideologies regarding universal love and forgiveness, he's mired in low attachment, but he's still received this channeling from God. Similarly, I preach universal love and forgiveness, and I am just a mere man. My existence on earth is proof of my weakness, and I have my own set of shortcomings. I'm actually exceedingly wrathful. I love to see people that hurt me get punished. When people piss me off, I'm not temperate. I almost have the kind of splitting that you would expect in like a borderline or a narcissist. It's like I try to progress as respectful and kindly, as respectfully and kindly as I possibly can. And if people bring disrespect into the situation, I don't try to look into their background or see what would cause them to be that way. I immediately just write them off as being a piece of shit. And I can get pretty vindictive and spiteful. I've been growing through that recently, but that's the point, is we're all undergoing growth. There is no ascended master R.J. Spina. He's just a man, just like the rest of us. Although he may have a very high level of connection to the lessons of divinity. And by the way, our lens through which divinity is interpreted is always incomplete. There's no chosen one's content creator that is going to get it completely right. There's your own personal set of biases and beliefs, and how that integrates with what the divine is showing you and telling you through its many signs. And it's kind of hard to separate which is which. So no chosen one's content creator is going to be perfect in this. But I think you'll find that I don't have the situation that a lot of chosen one content creators have, where they freak out and delete their channel. Pete Sapper deleted his entire channel. We have weird scandals like this. And more importantly, I think you're going to find that the things I say on this channel are going to continuously track mostly very accurately. I think more accurately than a lot of other chosen one channels. And I don't mean to say this in like a competitive way. I think we should all aspire to find the set of spiritual principles that guides us true the most and tracks the most with their experiences in the world. And so when the creator comes out that the things they say tracks more accurately than I say, I'll probably become a fan. I don't say this with a high opinion of myself or anything. I've just found that the things that I say have a tendency to keep showing up as true. And unfortunately, the shortcomings of other chosen one content creators, which they for some reason choose to publicize, ends up being evidence of the futility of their of the lower points, or of the downfall, of the inadequateness of certain aspects of their ideology put on full display, and the aspects of my ideology end up shining through as true, using them as evidence, kind of like in this video. But by no means am I a perfect channel of divinity. And I'm certainly, I'm just a guy. I'm never going to say I'm an ascended master. I'm a work in progress. I have all my own shortcomings I need to work on. Many of the things that I profess as being important and true are things that I need to work on myself. I just take what divinity tells me and I share it with you on this channel. And that's probably the one thing I want to leave this video on, is there is no ascended master RJ Spina. You know what I mean? And I'm using him as an example because he's a perfect example of somebody who has a lot of important, useful things to say, but his spiritual ego has become so gigantic and massive that he's developed what he would, funny enough to use his own words, spiritual fiction. Yeah, there is no ascended master. We're all works in progress, and we all have our shortcomings. But yeah, I think we should all embrace that. I think we should all embrace that we're works in progress, and we can talk about what the divine channels to us, while understanding that we fall short of the profound truths that are revealed to us. And with that, I think I'm going to end the video here. Venus must die so that it may experience transfiguration to Neptune. Let the personal love die. Let it even give way to the universal hate that God is allowing to rise in you when every individual person is egregious to such an equal degree. And then practice Ho'oponopono to dissolve all that universal hate, and what's left at the end will be a perfect and sublime universal love of God. The love of God, the love through which God embraces all of its creation equally, not choosing any special person. Thank you for watching today, and ta-ta for now.